Chapter 2. Aiden. The boardroom looked nearly empty, yet one figure commanded all the attention. Tall, 6 feet of presence wrapped in authority, Aiden Valmont stood with arms crossed beneath the gilded logo of the Valmont Consortium. The emblem glowed behind him, a silent reminder that this was no ordinary company. Aiden's physique was striking, broad shoulders carried with effortless poise, his tuxedo tailored to perfection, satin lapels gleaming under the muted lights. The gold crest stitched into his jacket marked him as heir to a legacy, while the rings and watch on his hands spoke of wealth and power. His movements were precise, deliberate, almost predatory in their grace. Valmont Consortium was not a think tank. It was not a consultancy. It was something older, sharper, and far more dangerous. They were the firewall between chaos and collapse. Governments called them when diplomacy failed. Corporations called them when their empires bled. Royal families, billionaires, tech founders, none of them wanted solutions alone. They wanted silence. And Aiden delivered. For centuries, the Valmont lineage had perfected this art. Elite crisis intervention, asset protection, intelligent solutions with surgical precision, and above all, discretion. Clients changed, faces, cities, cultures, even languages, but the core mission remained unshaken. Aiden embodied that mission flawlessly. His pale eyes seemed to see more than they should, his presence filling the room even when no one else was there. He was the kind of vampire who didn't lurk in shadows. He ruled from penthouses and marble halls, blending seamlessly into modern society. With arms crossed, he waited. The silence of the boardroom stretched, heavy and expectant. Someone was about to walk through those doors, and Aiden Valmont was ready. 3 polished professionals entered the boardroom, their silence almost ceremonial as their eyes shifted toward Aiden Valmont. No one wanted to make a mistake in front of him. Joe, the junior analyst, was the first, quiet, shy, but dependable. His nerves always showed in the way he avoided eye contact, yet Aiden had a way of steadying him. Under Valmont's gaze, Joe's nervousness transformed into precision. He was good at his work, and Aiden knew how to harness that. Hera, the diplomat, followed. Sharp, prompt, and relentless in her preparation, she cross-checked every detail before it reached Aiden, sometimes to the point of excess. Her perfectionism mirrored his own, which explained why she had risen quickly through the ranks. She was the one who smoothed edges, negotiated with impossible clients, and kept the consortium's reputation intact across borders. Finally came Marcus Hale, the senior lawyer. His presence was heavier, deliberate, and unyielding. Marcus was the kind of man who could dismantle a contract clause like a surgeon, or defend the consortium's interests in courtrooms where empires trembled. He was seasoned, pragmatic, and fiercely loyal to the Valmont legacy. If Hera was diplomacy, Marcus was the blade of law, precise, sharp, and always ready. Together, they formed the inner circle that kept the Valmont Consortium running like clockwork. Each one knew their place, their strengths, and the weight of silence in Aiden's presence. That made the team darker than mere precision. They didn't just fix problems. Sometimes, they erased them. Marcus Hale stepped forward, his voice steady and deliberate. "Sir, the Riyadh situation has stabilized. Our contact confirms the asset is secure." Joe followed, his tone quieter but precise. "And the leak in Singapore? We traced it to a shell firm, already neutralized." Aiden listened with arms crossed, absorbing their reports like a news bulletin. His expression never shifted, but the weight of his silence carried authority. Then Hera approached, a single envelope in her hand. She placed it before Aiden, with the careful grace of a diplomat. "Mr. Valmont, this just arrived. An invitation from RosieBloom Cosmetics. Private gala, Zurich, Hillview Mansion, end of the month." Something sharpened in Aiden's eyes. The name of that mansion was not spoken lightly. To most, it was just an old estate being renovated for a glamorous launch. To him, it was a relic, one of the few places whispered to hold memories of Vampire's existence. A cosmetics gala might sound harmless, even frivolous. Lipstick launches and champagne toasts, but Aiden knew better. People could do anything to advertise their products. And when the Hillview mansion resurfaced, it was never a coincidence. That blood-infused rose was said to rest somewhere inside the Hillview mansion. People whispered about it, weaving their own fairy tales, but only the original owner knew the truth of what had happened centuries ago. Aiden's voice cut through the silence. "RosieBloom?" Hera nodded. Aiden had survived centuries of wars, betrayals, and vampire courts. But a lipstick launches in a haunted mansion? That was new. These cosmetics were more popular for their launch events, huh? Aiden said, his tone edged with disdain. He tossed the invitation card onto the board table with force, though his eyes had already absorbed every detail. "Yes, Mr. Valmont," Hera replied. "They try to launch their products in unusual ways, but they often end up in terrible situations." Joe, scratching nervously at his neck, added, "But their products are incredible, sir."
The room fell quiet again. Aiden's gaze lingered on the invitation, his mind already turning.
Finally, Aiden spoke, his voice low but decisive. "Pin it to my calendar. The venue sounds familiar." He turned toward his private cabin, the invitation left behind on the board table, like a challenge. The room remained silent, his team watching as their CEO carried centuries of secrets into the next move. Era Snow's presence was as elegant as her office. Her neck was slender, poised with the quiet confidence of someone used to carrying responsibility without complaint. Her eyes, soft yet sharp, held a calm intelligence, the kind that could dissect a product launch plan and still notice the smallest detail others missed. They carried a gentle glow, framed by lashes that gave her gaze both warmth and authority. Her lips were naturally full, often pressed into a line of concentration as she worked, though they softened into a quiet smile when something pleased her. There was no drama in her expression, only a graceful composure that made her beauty feel effortless. Her face carried balance, a harmony of features that reflected both discipline and creativity. The flower-shaped earring at her ear added a touch of playfulness to her otherwise professional look, hinting at the softer side beneath her meticulous exterior. In demeanor, Era was the embodiment of elegance under pressure. Focused, precise, yet approachable, she looked like someone who could turn chaos into order and still make it look beautiful. Era stood, closing the lid of her laptop with a quiet finality. Her steps toward Nova were measured and graceful, but her eyes carried a flicker of curiosity. Nova, still brimming with restless energy, leaned in as though she was about to spill a forbidden secret. Glenweek's founder reached out personally, she continued. They got rejected. Apparently, Valmont doesn't deal with reputational issues. That was new for Era. She paused, her expression tightening just slightly. The Valmont Consortium was known for precision, for silence, for solving problems no one else could touch. But reputation? That was a battlefield of perception, not assets. The pastel calm of her office suddenly felt thinner, as though the colors themselves recoiled at the mention of that name. Era's composure held, but inside the weight of the revelation pressed against her thoughts. How could anyone forget Rivera Lux, the founder of Glenweek? She was the one who dared to launch a direct commercial strike against RosieBloom Cosmetics, bold enough to make headlines and enemies in the same breath. Rivera thrived on drama, her confidence spilling into every boardroom like perfume too strong to ignore. But Nova wasn't RosieBloom's founder by accident, or by tripping rivals open. She had honesty, grace, intelligence, and a boldness that outshone Rivera's theatrics. Nova carried herself with elegance, long, wavy dark hair cascading over a soft pink blazer embroidered with the RosieBloom crest, her presence as polished as the pastel packaging she championed. Her look was cohesive, professional, yet warm, every detail reflecting the brand's identity. She built her empire with charm that made people trust her, even when she was selling them lipstick shades named after thunderstorms. Nova's demeanor was confident, but never arrogant, her smile disarming, her eyes sharp with intelligence. Rivera had one extra thing, though: overconfidence, the kind that turned every meeting into a stage play, every girly environment into her personal spotlight. It was her weapon, her flaw, and her punchline all at once. Flashback. It was the night of RosieBloom's spring launch, the kind of event where champagne flowed faster than the press releases. Nova stood center stage in her soft pink blazer, hair cascading in waves, every detail polished to match the brand's pastel perfection. Enter Rivera Lux, overconfident, dramatic, and armed with a microphone she wasn't supposed to have. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, strutting like the gala was her runway, "why settle for RosieBloom when Glim Week offers real beauty?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. A few reporters leaned forward, pens ready. Nova didn't flinch. She smiled, graceful and unbothered, then leaned into her own mic. "Rivera, darling," she said sweetly, "thank you for the free publicity. RosieBloom appreciates your enthusiasm." The audience chuckled. Rivera blinked, thrown off her script. Nova continued, her tone playful but sharp. "Of course, if you'd like to compare products, we'd be happy to let the guests decide. RosieBloom's lipsticks last through dinner, dessert, and even drama." The crowd erupted in laughter. Rivera's overconfidence wilted under the spotlight, while Nova's poise turned sabotage into spectacle. By the end of the night, RosieBloom trended worldwide, not for Rivera's interruption, but for Nova's effortless clapback. Present-time Era said softly, "How can someone forget her, Nova?" Nova straightened, then made a stance, placing her hand firmly on the table and leaning forward with dramatic flair. "Right, when this morning I was, as usual, calling some of our customers." Era's brow lifted. She knew Nova exaggerated about directly calling customers like this, but she adored her for it. Maybe it was that restless energy behind every launch. Even if it meant disturbing customers, Nova's passion was undeniable. A small smile tugged at Era's lips. Nova pressed on, her voice brimming with conviction. "Some of our customers themselves told me how much they tried to compare Glim Week's products with ours, and they found out their packaging and dispensing are not on point at all." Now Era raised her brow higher, curiosity sharpening. Nova continued, "And when I searched their official website, there are more complaints than purchases. So it caught me off guard when my secretary Ava came to me, telling me that Glim Week actually tried to hire the Valmont Consortium for protection." Era fell into thought, her composure tightening. The name Valmont carried weight, even in pastel walls. Eyes narrowing with mock seriousness. "How come they want protection from?" Era said, her tone calm but inquisitive. "You're right to feel curious, Nova. But tell me, what exactly is this Valmont Consortium? I don't quite understand it." Nova slid her tablet across the desk. "Here, their office profile. It's intense." Era took it, her fingers brushing the sleek screen. As she began to read, the words felt heavy, like a business dossier carved out of shadows. It was the kind of profile that seemed endless, each line more unsettling than the last. Valmont Consortium, founded in 1403, publicly listed in 1987. Headquarters, Geneva. Undisclosed global branches. Privately held. No board, no oversight. Operations, crisis intervention, intelligence, reputation erasure, asset recovery, clients, governments, royals, billionaires. Era's eyes lingered on the words. Even halfway through, the profile already felt like a labyrinth, mysterious, deeply rooted, and uncomfortably powerful. Nova leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "See? It's like reading the resume of a ghost company. No board, no oversight, and yet everyone important seems to be their client." Era closed the tab slowly, her brow furrowed. The pastel calm of her office couldn't soften the sharpness of what she'd just read. Era exhaled slowly, her voice calm but edged with unease. "That's unsettling." She tapped the tablet lightly, eyes narrowing as she reread the lines. "So they're multitasking on a global scale. Crisis control, intelligence, asset protection, like it's just another Tuesday." Nova leaned forward, her hands still pressed firmly on the table, her eyes gleaming with dramatic emphasis. "And they've been doing it since the 1400s. Era, that's not a company, that's a dynasty." The pastel calm of Era's office seemed to dim under the weight of those words. She folded her arms, thoughtful, while Nova's restless energy filled the silence like a drumbeat. Honestly, maybe they protect royals from bad mascara days, or governments from lipstick scandals. Who knows? Nova walked toward the sofa and sat down gracefully, her voice lowering as if sharing a secret. I heard their current CEO is Aiden Valmont. Fans even call him a vampire. They say he has the charm of one. He rarely shows up at public events, only when he chooses to. Ira felt something stir at the mention of that name, but Nova's next words washed away her curiosity. I thought only movie stars had fans. Nova blinked in surprise, tilting her head. Seems like you haven't seen him yet. Ira brushed her shoulder lightly, dismissive. Doesn't seem necessary. She returned to her desk, reopening her laptop with calm precision, her focus sliding back into work. Nova smiled knowingly. Of course. My friend is more into work. That's why RosieBloom keeps blooming day by day. Ira looked up, offering a sweet smile, and Nova returned it. Two best friends, now partners, are trying to survive in the world of business, unaware of the storm that awaits them in the future. Author's note. And that's where we leave Ira and Nova for now. Two best friends, partners in pastel chaos, building RosieBloom with grace and grit. The world of business looks elegant on the surface, but secrets like Valmont are already stirring underneath. Stay tuned, because sometimes the sweetest blooms grow right next to the darkest roots.